you ready to be immortalized, John?
The wait is over. I think the wait that all the Disturbed fans have been enduring, you know, for the past five years since they put out Asylum and 4 years since they've been on hiatus.
Yep.
So no, that's over. Immortalized is out. Time to talk about it.
Yes.
So this is definitely probably the most excited I had been for an album all year. Besides Breaking Benjamin, I was excited for too. But this album, and when I found out this album would be released in June, you know, everybody's excited for this. So now that it's finally out, is it satisfying for the wait that everybody had to deal with?
I think a lot of times what you have, like when things like this happen, is the wait is so much that, and people's expectations are so high, they expected so much to be a result, the hiatus to have a large result on, you know, the new material, obviously, like what was going to be different, what was...
I'm satisfied with it, definitely, but it's not as, I wasn't as blown away by it as I expected, but I'm satisfied with it. It's a good album. And one thing, you can argue with that. I mean, some people think it's awesome. Some people, you know,
it's been mixed.
Think the other way.
It's been mixed from
But one thing I can say that is definite is that they do a lot of things different on this record.
And for a lot of people, that was one of the issues they had with the band before they went on hiatus. You know, they were on that regiment where they were, you know, tour album, and people kind of felt like they were starting to get burned out a little bit, and that the material was kind of starting to sound a little bit too similar, and you know, so I think for them, looking at where they were and where they are now, shows that, you know, the hiatus did do something, and they have grown both musically and as songwriters. This is an incredibly diverse album, in many ways. I'm gonna say a couple of things about this album that some people might think are like kind of crazy. Okay. So, first off, the beginning of the album, obviously we heard Fired Up, we heard Immortalized, you know, we heard all the singles that were coming off of this.
Yeah.
And from there, we were like, man, you know, where is this going? Like, this is like totally not what we're used to from them. Like this, you know, is the whole album gonna be like this? Is you know, is this like a new band almost? Some people are gonna probably disagree with this, and I don't, like, you have your opinion. I think David's cover of The Sound of Silence is one of the best covers ever done.
Really?
Yes. I think it's one of the most, and I think it's one of the most clever covers. First of all, the pick Simon & Garfunkel is so left field, like, you know.
I was very, I'm okay with the decision, obviously, because there's a cover with almost every album from them, not every single album. I said, Simon & Garfunkel, I said, what are they gonna do with that? And I'm glad that they didn't go to the heavier side with it. They did something
they kept it where it needed to be.
Different.
And I think what it did was, whenever David is not using his head to advertise for Turtle Wax or, you know, doing all, you know, normal things that he does, apparently he listens to Simon & Garfunkel, and that was, when I read the track list, I was like, boy, I wonder if that's just the same, they picked the same title, or, because I know they usually do a cover of, like, other bands on, like, each album.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, it can't be. And then the track list started to get down, and I was just like, I was waiting for it, and I was like, so blown away. A lot of the album, I'd say probably around, like, when they played Who, it was actually starting to kind of lose my interest had already been kind of like flaked a little bit.
Okay.
And I thought, I was like, oh man, they fell back into that. And then I was like, but then this came on, and I was like, no way. I was like, holy shit, this is phenomenal. Like, it just, I think one of the charms of it is that Dave has obviously is a guy who's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the whole meaning of the song, it's about being in a dark place. And David has obviously been in that dark place. So the way that he was able to bring what the song required to perform with a new kind of touch. And once again, a lot of people are going to think this is crazy, but I would actually like to see Dave in something other than Disturbed that was not metal. Because I think Dave's voice, outside of that context, is really something unique and special.
I mean, touching upon that, this album is full of songs that are different.
Yeah.
Obviously the Sound of Silence, the Simon and Garfunkel cover. Your Mind was very different. Even The Light.
Yep, The Light was pretty interesting.
Save Our Last Goodbye, with the telephone call and everything like that.
Yeah, I like it, yeah.
And even Who Taught You How to Hate is another one that I felt definitely the most diverse songs on this album.
Musically, what's different? Not much. How it's presented
is what's different.
Totally different. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are probably going to pick up on that the more they listen to it a couple times, but it's how it's packaged. There's something. If you just listen to the instrumentals, it's kind of like normal Disturbed, but the sound is refined a little bit. They've obviously changed what they're doing, but you can really hear that in tracks like Hoop. You can hear there's something different, like, and for them, that's a really good thing that they were able to pick up on, and now maybe this will make it so that they can prolong their career a little bit more.
Exactly.
They can now maybe that they feel like they've got something revitalized. They'll be maybe doing more things like this. That'll be really interesting.
What I hope this album does is I hope it silences people that think, oh, Disturbed sounds the same. They sound the same.
Yeah.
I hope this shuts them up. I hope it stops that, because this album, while it still is vintage Disturbed, obviously, it has it has something different to it.
Right. There's definitely something different going on. Dave was really ballsy on this album.
I thought he sounded phenomenal.
And whether or not you are a fan of this band or a fan of him or whatever, you have to give it up to the guy, because first of all, he's getting older. And he's still able to perform. I don't know, lyrically for me, it was not the most impactful thing I've heard, but it's definitely a step in a direction that was better than their last album. So,
it was a step in the direction that was needed.
Yeah,
definitely.
What do you think about this? Was there any tracks that stood out to you? What did you think about it?
What tracks stood up to you?
Obviously, Sound of Silence, my favorite track on the entire record. Upon listening to it again, Fire It Up was actually kind of an interesting song. Do I actually believe that Dave's been high 95% of the time?
I'd say maybe not 95%.
Maybe not 95%. I think it's an overshoot.
That might be an exaggerated number, but I'd say definitely more than half, probably.
I liked The Light. That was a pretty interesting track. Lyrically, that one was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Who had some pretty interesting textures in it, but lyrically was not what I desired.
I'd say besides, I love the intro.
The Eye
of the Storm is very interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides the title track, and then obviously the Vengeful one. The Vengeful one is, in terms of the tracks that are heavier on this record, I'd probably say the Vengeful one. The Vengeful one will probably hold true to a lot of Disturbed fans, because it's the first taste of Disturbed in so many years. But with the exception of those two, I'd say Who is probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it was definitely, for some reason, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it again. I've listened to the album twice.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know what it was about that track, but it was there was something about it that was intriguing, but lyrically it was doing something for me that was kind of losing me a little bit.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I still really like the track. I can't explain it, but that track was it was starting to lose me and had something special about it. I don't know.
One other thing I have to share with this is the bonus tracks.
Yeah, you were saying something about that.
I think the album already has 13 songs.
Yeah. And
there's 3 other bonus tracks. The bonus tracks I wished had been on the album, but that would make the album obviously too long.
Yeah.
The bonus tracks are awesome.
Yeah.
Tyrant, Legion of Monsters, and The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Are all very, very good.
I think for Disturbed it would have been, obviously you like those tracks. I haven't had a chance to listen to them yet, but when you told me that they had bonus tracks, I was like, boy, I wonder why they made that choice and not, just release them as singles on iTunes. Because if they were that good, you know what I mean? That's what it sounds like, is that they had a lot of material from the hiatus, and they just didn't have time.
They didn't want to keep it all, I guess, to themselves. They want, they write all this material, they want to put it out, especially after a long wait.
Yeah.
This.
What do you think about this album? It was pretty fucking interesting.
So does this album for Disturbed fans, satisfy for that wait? I say it does, absolutely. But
I say it's definitely their most. I'd say since The Sickness, it's probably their most interesting album, next to Believe.
Share your thoughts on Immortalized.